Morning.
Cheers.
Afternoon.
Another tea time.
Evening.
It is evening.
Kind of all depends on your perspective, though.
I suppose it's not evening everywhere out there.
Well, is it evening if you work third shift? Or is it morning? At least third shift in the time zone that you happen to be occupying.
That's a good question.
I
always said morning.
It would kind of feel like it.
I always said I would work in the morning.
I don't know.
But that's just the way I put it. I mean, it's always different for everybody.
I'm with Orange Imposter. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just have it be whatever we want it to be, and let's just acknowledge that. It's our reality.
No time.
It is morning for Nathan.
In Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun place to be.
Yep. Yeah.
Got a ball vape right here that we were just talking about.
Probably the smallest, lightest one that's ever been made.
Okay.
And that's something that I think is maybe relevant that hasn't been talked about much. I mean, really. I'm pretty sure that there's not a smaller, lighter one available. Probably not much faster either from 0 to heat up.
Yeah, especially if you do it.
Unless you're using a gigantic torch. But that's not really optimal. Well, cheers to Brazil.
Good night from Brazil.
Yeah.
I like here it is on the Ballr cap being used in the induction heater. I've had success with it, but I've had to kind of keep it in there a little bit longer because I'm not getting as much transfer to the chamber as I would.
Right. Well, that's one of the things we're going to chat about a little bit today.
Because I had
is heating techniques. What works, what doesn't, and why. So, I think we can start with the induction heater. Okay. When we take a regular device, we'll just grab this one for example, and we put it in an induction heater. Of course, we've got your adapter that you can adjust for your depth, but it just goes in and sits at that depth. Okay, and that's all that really heats. Okay. One of the things about the Ballr cap that I think is maybe a little bit misunderstood is that it provides convection extraction, but it works optimally if it doesn't have to bring your oven from room temperature up to vaporization temperature, because in the interest of making something as small and lightweight and compact, heats up fast and doesn't stay hot overly long, but just long enough to get the job done. Well, that means we really don't want it to have any more mass than is necessary to get the job done. And that also means that a slightly modified heating technique really helps get optimal extraction. And this is something that I think we could have done a little bit better job explaining and creating content that really shows this. But just to elaborate, when I'm heating up my Ballr cap with a torch, I like to heat this thing right around where the rotate line is. Okay, and you really don't need to rotate much, because you're not heating a chamber where you have to worry about creating a hot spot and maybe making things char. Right, we're heating above our chamber, so I'll go like that. And after I hear that click, I like to brush my extraction chamber for about a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And there I do want to rotate. And what this does, and you can try and experiment yourself if you like, if you just take a regular cap on a Unidyne and you heat the chamber for 1, 2, 3, and take a taste, the flavor is just going to be beginning, because you're just getting to the very beginning of extraction temperature.
Right.
Okay. Why does this matter? Well, it matters a lot, because the Ballr cap is really small and compact. That's why it heats quick, and you can use just a little micro pocket torch and still get good results. Okay. Could we put more mass in there to make it hit harder, or make it stay hot longer, or make it so that you don't have to preheat the oven? Yeah, we could. But then using a small pocket torch like this becomes impractical. It's a balancing act, right? Then you have to have a bigger torch. And if you have a bigger torch, then you might as well have a bigger device. And if you have a bigger device, well, now you might as well have something plugged into the wall.
Yeah.
You know, it's more of a desktop.
Right.
If you want something that's small and compact and portable, or high performance, sometimes you have to make some compromises. And one of the compromises in creating a high performance, very portable, lightweight, convection oriented ball type thermal extraction device. Well, when we were doing our initial testing, we found that, okay, if we have at least this much mass, we're kind of at the lower end of the spectrum here, but if you have just this much, we can get good performance. And a key component of that good performance is not bringing your oven from room temperature up to baking temperature. By preheating the oven right to the threshold of baking temperature, because what are we looking for in a convection extraction device? We're looking to actually begin getting flavor immediately upon our first taste. And then we're looking for it to effectively transition from the earliest, lightest, most flavorful terpenes and flavonoids, and generally almost no cannabinoids, because we're just coming up temperature. And we're using that hot air stream to bring all the flowers up to temperature where things start to come out. But then, since we're drawing as it's happening, we're not leaving anything in the oven long enough that we start to burn or scorch the cookies, or as far as the terpenes are concerned, start breaking them down. Okay, so that's what we get. We heat up all the mass, and then we preheat the oven right to where things are starting to go. Not like we do with a standard cap, where we heat the oven all the way to full baking temperature. The way a standard Dynavat functions, I think, is very, very different, where we're heating the oven all the way up to temperature and then extracting, and using the mass there to kind of maintain temperature, versus with the Ballr cap, we're heating up the mass that's going to bring what's in the oven through a temperature range that's going to increase and then decrease. Well, just kind of a different mode or method of operation.
That brings me to a question.
Okay.
Is there an adjustability
Okay.
with the...
There is. So here's where things get a little bit more complex. With the wand, okay, it's more of a manual thing, and you kind of need to take the adapter out, because when you're heating with the wand, you're going to heat as you normally would, about the same position where the bottom is just starting to peek out, yeah, just starting to peek out of the wand here at the bottom. And when it clicks, then we're just going to go in a little bit deeper to preheat that chamber again for basically a count of 3, 4. You just have to adjust a little bit to kind of get what you feel is best for you. But again, the point of having all the mass here is that you don't need to get your chamber up to full extraction temperature like you do with a regular cap. You just need to get to the threshold. And by getting to the threshold, it means we're taking the amount of work that the mass needs to do, and we're reducing it so it can be more effective faster and for longer.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Makes total sense to me.
Yep, another October stream. UV reactive B2 stems sound nice too. When using the Ballr, should I close the airport? That's more of a personal preference for how dense you want things. And another thing that for people that have convection style ball devices, kind of like the comparison I'll make is kind of like some of the old school vaporizers, electronic ones. Specifically the Magic Flight. Did you ever have a Magic Flight, Jeremy?
Yeah, I had 3 of them.
Okay.
I
So
like different woods.
they're neat, but if you took a big rip and draw your air through real fast, what'd you get?
It would, well, I would,
Basically,
it's a balancing act, because
Right.
it would burn if you were not careful.
right. But what I'm getting at is if you were just drawing really hard,
Nothing.
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 You get nothing.
Yeah.
Why? Because your energy source can't keep up.
Right. I mean, sometimes you would get a hot pocket where even though you're drawing hard, you would still get burn underneath because it, right?
Right.
It's just interesting. That thing was kind of a really interesting balancing act.
It was,
itself.
but you know, I
was
really
great.
like what it represents though, because you know, wow, when did Magic Flight come out? That was like
I know. I was trying to think of that, like 2015 or something.
no, it was
You think
before that.
earlier?
No,
Oh,
Dynavap
wow.
was out 2015, and Magic Flight was out years before Dynavap.
So maybe like 5 years before, 2010,
Yeah,
9 maybe.
yeah, it's back.
I
there,
think
you know,
I came around it in like 2000, maybe 13 or something
Okay.
like that.
They were really innovators in the space back in the day.
Yeah, I had the car chargy looking battery plug for it, so I didn't have to push in a battery,
Yeah.
because that was kind of hurting my hand to like squeeze the battery.
Sure,
in.
sure. Well, you know, part of the reason it hurts your hand to squeezing a battery on those is because it basically didn't have any wires. So the Magic Flight was an electronic device, but it had this beautiful minimalist approach where it didn't really have much in terms of electronics. Yeah, it used a battery. It had a little screen that was connected with 2 pieces of
Yeah.
like spring steel wire, okay, that would make the contacts to the battery, and the battery actually functioned as a switch. So it just didn't have much in terms of electronics, but it was electronic.
It had a slower heat up.
Yep.
That's what was fascinating. Instead of going like instantly red on those coils, it took a while to get
Oh,
there. So.
there it is. Thank you, Pro Beer, 2009.
Okay. Cool.
Wow. So that's 6 years before the first Dynavap hit the scene.
Yeah, Magic Flight was great. Little glass window.
Yep. And you know, they weren't the only ones back in the day, because the battery technologies hadn't evolved very much, where there was a certain way you had to draw on them in terms of how hard, how soft,
I
how
remember.
long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
slow.
There was a
draw.
real process and a real method to how you draw on the device. And I think to a degree, you could look at this from 2 perspectives. Either we've become rather spoiled with the devices that are available today because they have so much more power that you have more choice in terms of how you use them.
Right.
But at the same time, power doesn't cure everything, and in some cases, it almost makes for a less desirable experience because, well, you can still get results quickly, but maybe you don't get great results. It's kind of like racing cars, I think, to a degree, where you give a person more power, yeah, they can drive faster. But
Are they gonna learn the corners?
there's a technique to this, and I'm sure that there's multiple examples of this out there where you take two different vehicles, one that's got way more power and capability, and you put it in the hands of a person that doesn't know how to drive very well, and you take a car that's way yuckier, terrible handling, and underpowered, and have them race against each other. And skill and understanding can compensate for a massive amount of handicap.
Oh yeah.
So, learning how to use some of these old devices, I think, was really uh, beneficial to
You make me want to pull my
understanding.
flight box
Oh,
box out again. It's like I have a shoebox of my flight box stuff.
Right. Well, but part of the reason why people keep those things is because they're cool. They're collectible.
Oh yeah, I got the
And-
whole power system.
Yeah, it's just
really
kind of fun to break it out and change things up.
I
And
even
I think,
had wooden straws that I bought.
oh, that's
for it.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, it just
I
makes a
wanted, like,
difference.
The
So
most of wood I could get on it.
yeah,
It was fun.
yeah. Vintage 35 millimeter is kind of like that. Yep. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Using a tool is there intended to separate the hammer or put a screw in, but it'll work. You ever used a hammer to put in a screw?
I can't recall the last time I did. Maybe to tap it in slightly before I start screwing it.
Well, sometimes you just don't have the damn tool. You know? And sometimes you don't even have a nail. So, I know I've done it. I've used screws as nails. Only in a pinch.
I've definitely done the vice the other way around.
Hello, Manny K. Bacon Double Swiss. Yeah, I like that name. Oh, yeah. Well,
Let's take
let's
a
do
look
some
at
close-up
some of
stuff.
this close-up.
Oh, there it is. Look at that. Close-ups. Ooh, there's a Unidyne with a Ballr. And we got Ed's TNT in
Got a
there.
little heat patina on it.
Yeah. Go with these cool amber glass, which I think is sold out now. Which, kind of cool, but kind of too bad.
The last
These are pretty
one.
neat. Yeah, another
I just like the way they sit.
Unidyne. I just wanted to show off how awesome this color shift is.
Because how many times has anyone had to wait for their click because they were in a hurry and they didn't want to put their device down?
You know,
It's happened to me a couple times where I can in the recent.
It's such a
past.
good point, right?
Yeah, because I just want one real quick hit, but I want to put it down before it clicks, and like that one sits up.
Ooh, I think we're gonna borrow this black capper.
But of course, that's why the torch is nice. 'Cause
Yeah.
it sits on it. Right?
Borrow this black cap. Black caps are nice. Stuff getting moved around.
It's closer to you. Closest.
There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. So yeah, take the Unidyne. Yeah, the flame's a little bit soft. You can kind of tell here with when you look at the flame. We'll go over the black here. Okay, I'm gonna use my cap kind of as an example. See that the flame's not even as long as the digger outer. Okay, that's not long enough. I'm gonna adjust that a little bit more. That's better. So we don't want to have when you turn your lighter on, you don't want to have the flame adjusted so much that your flame starts to sputter. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm like right on the lower threshold. You can kind of almost hear it. sputtering.
Oh, is that because you're turning it down too much?
Yeah,
and
or
it's shutting off?
I've got it set really low.
Okay.
So if I turn it down, you'll hear it starts to sputter. You can hear that difference. That's right before it goes out.
Okay.
And that's going to give you really inconsistent results. Not as good at ignition or anything else.
So,
And
got a question. What's happening whenever I have it on fully plus all the way up and it's still having sputtering issues?
okay, that's a whole nother thing. That's a bit more of a technical situation.
Needs to be bled a little
All
bit.
right, no, we're gonna try and do it like this. So the lighter has, as we can kind of see here, plus minus. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my digger outer and I'm gonna get underneath this little plastic thing and pop it off. Okay. Now, if we look at the little plastic thing, what we can see is there's a little stop. So, there's a little stop here. Get my angle right. And another one on the other side. Okay. The space between the first stop all the way around to the second stop, that is your flame adjustment range. Okay. In fact, if we flip it over and again look at the plus minus, okay, that range is effectively, okay, your flame adjustment range. Okay. They may not correspond directly from top to bottom, but that doesn't matter. What matters is it's this distance from here all the way around to here is what you feel when you're adjusting your lighter, because it only turns so far and then it stops. Okay, so if it's still sputtering when you've turned it all the way to the plus and you feel it's stopping right there, what that means is that you've hit the limit of the range. Okay, so for example, you're all the way down here. So by taking this off, we can kind of rotate a little bit away from where it would stop. Okay, it might look more like this, and then put it back on so that you can open it up just a little bit more until it hits that stop.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, and right here on the lighter you can see there's this little nub right there. Okay, that is the stop. So if we look at our adjustment, okay, I know when I put this back on, okay, again looking at top side for the plus, so it was rotated all the way this way until it hit the stop. Okay, so I'm going to look at where's that stop relative to the plus, all the way there, and so that means I'm going to rotate a little bit this way, and I'm going to just push it right back on, and now I can open it up a little bit more. Probably a little bit too much because this one's not.
Yeah,
this one's not the problem. There we go. So now I can turn it up higher.
Oh yeah, there's a little extra in it now.
That's too much.
It sputtered the other
Okay.
way.
So that's too much now. So now, if you listen, it doesn't sound right. That's not the kind of flame you want. So
You want that in
too far.
in your rocket.
Exactly. So the lighters can be adjusted a little bit further, but I'd say use this information with caution. Usually they're pretty good, but there are a few exceptions, especially for people at elevations. Also, sometimes there can be things that accumulate in the little orifice or nozzle or other things along those lines for having just a little bit more flow, especially in older lighters. It's just what you need to get things to work correctly. And just one of those things that just play with it a little bit. Eventually, you kind of figure out some of these things, making some of the adjustments. And I just found it useful that with literally every Dynavap that's ever been sold is a handy dandy little tool to kind of
A wedge tool?
to get underneath so that you can adjust things. Because I like the ability to adjust things. It's just pretty nice.
What has anyone else thought of for their Dynavap digger outer cap piece? Because I've opened up boxes with it. And
Thank
cut
you,
tape.
Miss Shelby. Yeah, you bet. What is the strong smell that's coming off the lighter when lit? I'm not sure I understand that question. I love this stuff. Look at clean nails in the garage, digger out as a scoop for microdosing.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
I know I've opened hundreds of boxes
Even letters
with
too.
my digger outer.
Letters are quite appealing to open. Like it's the same as like a good letter knife opener.
Someone's kitty like scratches with the cap. I mean, the digger outer is.
I've heard caps on the floor going across my floor, and it was my cat.
Oh yeah.
You've had to have had this at your house.
Oh,
That sound is so familiar, right? With the caps and with the discs inside of it.
you know, I have to say that in general, I don't get too concerned about losing a cap because I've got access to lots of caps, so it's kind of a commodity to me most of the time. But occasionally I'll have like a really cool cap, and if I'm not careful where I set it down, sometimes it gets stolen and then relocated by a kitty. And where it's relocated is to some place in the future. And the problem is, it's hard to tell how far it's been sent to the future until you find it hiding under a couch, sometimes months down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that sound, like on this. It's got this like I don't know jingly sound, but I can tell when my cat's got a
Your
cap.
favorite caps or caps you prefer the flavor of? Yeah.
Yeah. Preference in cap.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I actually really like the Ballr cap. And some of the perforated caps we've made I think are just fantastic. Which was kind of getting me to another thing I wanted to go over in terms of what the Unidyne's just not well known for yet. But I think just really excels at is this is a sports car.
Oh yeah, for
A
sure.
sports bike. I mean, because of the way the Unidyne is put together, you know, there's almost no mass underneath the chamber, where there typically is with all of our other tips. There's just this thin little thermal break of a neck that does a pretty amazing job at stopping the heat transfer from the chamber to the stem, considering it's all one piece. Well, what that means is when you heat this thing up, you're heating a very, very small amount of mass with a very effective heat break. So it comes to temperature fast and it cools off really fast because there's no mass there to hold heat. That means if you just have no time, or you're in a hurry, or you just want a quick little taste or whatever, this little guy is fantastic for just a quick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh, we're gonna do close
6,
up.
7. There we go. 7 seconds. I mean, 7 seconds.
7 seconds is
7
pretty
seconds. Okay. With a single flame torch. 7 seconds. And
Quick. Write that down. We're gonna be doing some
You know,
experiments.
can you heat up some of our other devices in 7 seconds with a single flame torch? Well, maybe. I'd say the G3 is probably next because the thermal conductivity of the glass is so low. But the titanium Unidyne has so little mass. it just comes to temperature so fast. It's cooled down now, and that's without even putting any draw on it, just sitting here. And I like how I can still hold my fingers like millimeters away from the hot cap because the thermal break just, I think it works pretty amazing. So.
Oh yeah, can you show the
Oh.
break with the glow? This is always pretty
Okay.
good.
Oh, we'll do that then. This is fun. Yeah, new close up. So, little demo I'd like to do with the Unidyne. There's a line on here because this is one of the ones that I was experimenting on, trying to develop the actual iridyne finish, which I think is also pretty cool. But I'm going to take my single flame torch here, and just so you can kind of see. And I'm going to do what you shouldn't do. I'm not going to rotate. I'm just going to heat this chamber until it's hot, like really hot. In fact, you can probably see it starting to glow. Like, really starting to glow. Like, I discourage you from doing this. But as you can see, I was making the titanium chamber literally glowing hot, okay? And yet my fingers are just millimeters away from what was probably pushing 1000 C.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like you can't
glowing.
get it to go down further down the neck.
Not
Like
1000 C. No, it's not 2000 degrees. 1000 F for sure. 500 C, 600 C. Possibly a little bit more than that, but literally glowing. But notice I'm still holding it between my fingers. Okay. Up here it's pretty hot yet, but down here I don't think it's even above room temperature. You know, if I can push my fingers up a little bit more and feel around, it's already losing heat as well. Now I can touch the whole thing, because it heats up that fast, but it cools down that fast, and the heat transfer from this side of this piece of metal to here is actually pretty small.
And it's all one piece, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, this part's all one piece. So the mouthpiece comes out. Well, that one doesn't have a condenser in it. But yeah, I just kind of had this one to show off some of the finishes and. Wow, you know what? It actually held up really good. The finish it's on there still looks pretty good considering it was glowing.
Yeah, I don't see much change.
It did start to lighten up, I think, a little bit on one side. But I don't think that Duradyne finish is affected at all.
What would make it lighten?
Well, when you heat titanium, just like when you color anodize it, it starts to change color.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I do know that.
And I think the Duradyne finish helps reduce that to some degree, depending on which variation of the Duradyne it is. But it's not going to necessarily make it immune, okay? Because especially when you're making things glow.
Right.
Right. So make your devices glow at your own peril. Generally not recommended. It's not what they're designed for. Cool. Looks like we got some.
We got a winner.
Got some winners. Gave away some cool stuff on both channels, I think. Giving away one of my favorite devices ever is Iridyne. I think there's still a few left on the website. We didn't make very many of them.
The Iridynes?
Yeah. I hope we got a reason to make more. I think it's one of the coolest colors we've ever come up with.
It is really good. Ballr cap on a Unidyne. That's the way to go.
Yeah,
Ballr cap on anything.
So OCB, that's another fun one. I was kind of going over Ballr cap stuff with the wand earlier, and to use the induction heater or wand with the Ballr cap almost requires removal of the silicone adapter, because you have to be able to get your device all the way through. Okay.
How far would this go down if you were tried to keep it in?
It
It would just fall out, basically.
basically the point where it's falling out.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just one of those things where you can't get it deep enough to preheat the oven. Okay. And
Makes
that's,
sense.
I think, a really important detail about using the Ballr cap is that you got to get the oven up to baking temperature, and then let the balls in the Ballr cap take over and carry over from soft and ooey and gooey and can't get them off the cookie sheet cookies all the way through to crispy, crunchy, but not burned cookies.
Yep.
Why don't you show us all how to heat it again in the close-up?
Okay.
Oh yeah, give us a cycle with the Ballr.
Okay.
It's the long band torch.
Okay. So we're gonna go deep in here. Oh, there we go. Gotta turn it on. Okay, there's the click. Now I'm gonna go deep for 1, 2, 3 seconds to kind of preheat the oven. So it doesn't even take all that long to heat up in the wand.
Why do you need to preheat the oven?
So that's the general process there.
It's kind of like a jump
And-
start.
Well, it's important because just like the Unidyne is like the sports car or the sports bike of thermal extraction, fastest up to temperature and fastest to cool down. The Ballr is kind of in the same category, okay, where it's going to heat up really fast. Again, you can use a small single flame pocket lighter or an induction heater. But if your oven is at room temperature, you're going to use almost half of your energy in the balls just to get the oven up to baking temperature. Okay, so by preheating the oven, we're not actually changing the experience from convection to conduction, because we're not getting the oven hot enough to really start extraction. We're just getting it up to temperature, because that's the other thing that you'll notice with some convection devices is that if they have a lot of glass in them, you don't start to get a real good rip until you've been drawing on it for a while. And this ties back to the Magic Flight and some of those old school battery powered vaporizers. It's not just how you draw or how fast you draw or how much you obstruct the airport or where you heat specifically. It's all of these things kind of all put together. Oh, someone just got married this weekend? Thanks for helping me deal with my family. Oh, maybe your family needs some product, you know. Maybe we should have like a just got married special.
Ooh, like a bag, like a.
Yeah, but it's only for the family members that are difficult.
I'll help put together that bag.
Yeah. So anyway, to finish up, by preheating the oven, okay, we're not heating up the flour to the point where you start to break down some of those flavors that people associate with convection. Okay, really tasty, terpy flavors that are only possible if you're drawing as the oven's going through the baking temperature range.
Isn't her Dynavap's?
Yeah, that'd be fun. We should do that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you guys are fantastic. I just love seeing how many people in our community share.
Oh yeah, that's
It's just phenomenal.
it's important. Actually, if you know.
Well, I know it's been impactful in my world, and it's been really nice how we've been able to empower other people to do the same thing, and I hope that we can do even more of that. Ooh, ultimate tip and cap combo for a bong.
Tip and cap combo? I mean, do you just want a tip, or why not just using like the new B2 and just throw it in instead of your original chamber?
It just kind of depends on what kind of an experience you're looking for, right? Because
For sure.
you put a hyper tip
Yeah, I was just gonna
in
say.
there with the THC or the thermal hypercap, and it can really go. But
Or just an armored cap
yep,
on a stainless steel unit and some like
yeah,
super oily material, or like some extra oilish stuff
Wow.
in the material. That would actually be a good one.
yeah. Perforated pumpkin cap. All the Halloween caps. Yeah, I like the Halloween caps. Big, thick armored caps. Yep. Yeah.
Mesh.
Well, what else have we got? Anything going on in the news, Jeremy? Anything else exciting?
That, I mean, depends on what you would call exciting.
Seems like festival season's kind of slowing down, huh?
Maybe not for the South. Well, I mean, it definitely is slowing down in the mid and upper, but
Maybe we're gonna have to like go into hibernation or something like that.
that's what we're supposed to do up north. Now we just got to strap our snowboarding boots on, hit the hill.
Let's see. That's nice. Ballr with rips for Ballr with B2 tip.
Yeah, the B2 is a fantastic
Yeah.
tip.
It's one of my favorites.
I had people wonder if it was titanium because it's so light and it's so
Yep.
balanced.
It's not only light, but it's because it's actually interesting. Someone said to me the other days, I think the B2 tip's the lightest weight stainless steel tip. I was like, wait a minute. I had to think about it for a second. It's like, I think it might be.
Yeah,
Should weigh that out. I should know that, but
it's good. It's good for an experiment. We can do.
It's got a nice redistribution of mass, especially compared to the original B tip. That was a comment at the public hearing. That was fascinating. Participating in a government process like that, and the comment was actually received really well, and I found myself after the hearing was over, to kind of my surprise, and certainly I was happy. I was having a conversation with some of the senators that I didn't even really initiate, so I wasn't. I don't think I was being annoying or in the way. They actually came and started asking me questions,
Oh, that's nice.
which is exactly what we're looking for, because it's part of our mission to kind of push this whole project forward, to make smoking history, and ideally give as much of the world as possible access to an alternative where they can just
Absolutely,
Yeah, just-
not have to smoke if they
yeah,
don't
just
want
have
to.
a healthier lifestyle. So, ray tracing network. The B2 is an excellent choice, especially going from the G3. And I think it just kind of makes sense if you're just getting into it. The G3 is like the cheapest entry point device that we have, but it still, I think, performs really, really well. The B3, I think, is pretty amazing in terms of what you get for what it costs.
Yeah.
It certainly steps things up a notch. And then it's a little bit more as you jump into the M7, which now it's all metal and not silicone, which isn't necessarily better. It's just a different overall experience. Wish I could give them stuff, but no, there's some really strict laws here in the U.S. Not saying that they're always abided by, but there's pretty strict laws in terms of what they call gifting, and it's not often that you're going to find politicians in this country accepting gifts from anyone, especially under circumstances where anyone's looking, because it's just not allowed. I mean, I'd love to share, but it's just not going to work. Yeah. Gotta make a super pack first, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Work up some official packages.
No, it's political stuff. Yeah. Yep. Well, I think that kind of does it for me for today. Hopefully that was useful.
Yeah, I think the heating of the wand and showing off how to heat the Ballr cap a little bit more was amazing.
Wow. I love that terp nuts. After almost 20 years, I give up combustion completely after my first year of Dynavap. And that's a big part of why we do this.
You're not the only one. I was basically the same thing. I couldn't remember how long it was since I had actually burned or combusted, just because I didn't want the flavor difference.
Right.
That's what changed it for me.
You get it when people offer you a joint.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of ruins you, right? Sorry about that, for all you out there that really enjoy a good joint.
You're not kidding about ruining it either, because I do remember it tasting better smoking it. You know what I mean? Until I started vaping, and then it was like.
And then someone hands you one,
like
and
smoke.
you take a taste, and it
All
it
tastes
just
like
doesn't
burning
taste
leaves.
the same anymore. Right. Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Pro Beer, and Jackal 135. Really appreciate you guys spending time with us this weekend. Yeah. Yeah, I was chatting with Raz. Maybe I'll get back to Amsterdam some October. Again, that was pretty fun being there during that event.
All right.
Anyway, so thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. We'll let you know when the next stream is, but it's probably going to be next Sunday.
Sounds
I
good.
guess so, yeah. Some